I know, everyone wants to go, I gotta put the boot on. You might be wondering, Manders, why are you putting a boot on? Well, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably already know this. I wanna talk about it. And I wanna talk about it because of a couple things. Number one, I did not do anything intentionally stupid. Neither did I when I broke my hand either. Both were freak accidents, so they can happen. So your lateral peroneal muscle on the side of your foot that goes over your ankle bone and comes up the side of your calf. Initially, I thought I had a stress fracture. So you probably already know I did that Bix 7.2 mile race, not last Saturday, but the Saturday before. And the hills were so intense. I have never run that course before. And I also don't really train on pavement. Like very rarely do I run on pavement, like road running. And it was a 713 foot elevation for said run. And during it, my feet were fine. Like, here's the thing about me. Let me scooch you in here. If you know me, if I had gotten injured, like if there was a point in the race where like I had felt like a snap or a pop or something like that and I couldn't walk, I would have withdrawn from the race, okay? I don't push myself through pain like that. I've talked about it before. A lot of you were talking shit when I ripped my hands during the open and kept going. That's not an injury. That's like skin that's gonna rip off because of calluses and it's gonna come back. That's not like, you know, a bone injury or something like that, okay? I don't like to purposely push myself through injury. So anyways, the race was fine. I felt totally fine during the whole entire thing. Afterwards, obviously I was cramping and just because I'm not used to that type of volume, but the next day I could not walk on my right foot. And I was like, okay, maybe this is just soreness. Like maybe it's just, you know, I'm not used to this type of running, blah, blah, blah. But then it was like knives. Like I thought, oh my God, I broke my foot or something because I was literally like, if I put any pressure on my right foot, I was straight to the ground, straight down, right to jail, right away. So I said to myself, oh no. And I gave it another day. I was like, if it gets worse, I'm gonna go. So I went over to good old ORA and they did some x-rays and they said I did not have a stress fracture. Okay, so that's great. But they sometimes don't show up for a few weeks. So then I went and got a second opinion by another doctor on Thursday after I had already been put in the boot by ORA. And he told me, he's like, yeah, no, it's definitely not a stress fracture. They had initially thought that maybe I tore a tendon or a ligament, and he was able to like press on the area and do some dry needling and stuff. And he was like, if it was torn, you wouldn't be able to handle me touching it. So two good things, right? So anyways, he put me in a boot for a week. And then of course, you know, I didn't wear it to the concert. I didn't. And listen, I will admit when I should have done something and didn't do it. I was sitting. The boot is for walking, okay? Walking, I'm gonna take the girls on a walk, which I'm allowed to do. The doctor said I could do as long as I don't go very far. I'm not gonna decline my dogs of their normal routine just because I'm in a boot, okay? I'm going on a rant here, I know. But just because you're injured doesn't mean that, like, well, to this extent anyway, doesn't mean that I have to stop all life activities and sit on the couch for weeks on end. There's a difference between doing something stupid, like if I went and ran on my boot, okay, then you guys could talk shit and be mad at me. But if I don't have a torn ligament or a broken foot and I'm just in this boot to make sure that I don't make the injury worse, let me do my shit, okay? God. I posted a TikTok of like things that you can still do while you're in a boot, and then they were like, you know, the haters, they were like, oh my God, just chill out. You need to just rest. Okay, well, I'm resting my foot. My foot's in a boot. It's not moving. I still have a very functioning upper body, okay? And it's also called anxiety and depression. And you know, I physically cannot handle sitting around. I have to inflate my boot for hours and hours and hours a day. Like, it's not my lifestyle. So here's my fucking boot, and I'm gonna take the girls on a walk. A short one nonetheless, but I'm not dying. I'm just in a boot. Okay, be right back. Keep dancing with the devil, baby, there's a lot of life. reason why I'm going to do some type of workout. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I could barely even stand up, let alone put any pressure on it. So I did not work out. Could I have sat on something and done some upper body? Yes, and I did that later in the week. But today, since we are a week and 2 days post race, I can walk and it is not in excruciating pain. So that's kind of the gauge. And when you're injured, you need to really prioritize that. If you are in so much pain that like you can't do normal functions, you probably shouldn't be working out, okay? It kind of all depends. Now, I am taking diclofenac, which I have when I broke my hand, which is like an anti-pain, anti-inflammatory, Advil every 12 hours, 800 milligrams, icing 3 times a day, and then I am foam rolling and stretching my calves and the front tendon muscle on the side of my shin. If I'm consistent with that and doing it before I decide to do any type of workout, the doctor said that I could do a bike as long as I am not getting out of the saddle, because obviously I don't want to put pressure on my foot. But with the Peloton, you're strapped in, so I'm not like pushing as much as I am pulling the pedals with my feet. So I'm, again, just taking it by feel. If I'm doing something on the bike that starts to hurt, I'm gonna stop. But I'm only gonna do a 30 minutes, and I'm gonna do a 30-minute arms ride, so it's intervals, so I'm not actually biking the whole time. So again, just trying to figure out how to scale, modify, whatever. You're not completely useless if you have an injury, and you don't need to throw away your entire day, especially if eating too. I get that question a lot, and we'll go over that when I am going to make my post-workout shake and the rest of today's food. So I'm gonna roll out my calves, I'm gonna do a little bit of stretching, see how it feels, and then we're gonna hop on the bike. Okay, so I'm just sitting down to eat my dinner, and it is chicken thighs, potatoes, and zucchini. And one of the top, if not the top asked question when either myself or a client is injured is, how do I change my eating when I'm injured? 9 times out of 10, my answer is to not. And there's a couple of reasons for this, with exceptions, of course. First one is that your body obviously needs calories to recover. So if you're eating at maintenance, or maybe you're in a surplus or something, and then you drastically reduce calories to compensate, number one, that's not necessarily the most healthy, in my opinion, mentally. Kind of want to focus on the quality and the amount of food that you're eating for recovery purposes, not for like fear of gaining weight, but that's a whole other thing in itself. I also currently do not have training day and rest day macros, but I do have high volume macros, and so even though I'm not changing anything, I obviously will not be needing to eat high volume macros since my training is very low intensity right now, and I'm only being able to do upper body stuff. So there's no running, there's no like long endurance stuff, nothing that would require a high volume day. The exception to this is, in my opinion, 2 things. Number one being if you are like completely immobile. And this kind of just leads into the second thing. But the first one is if you are completely immobile and you are somebody who, you know, is a very high level athlete or a very busy person, somebody who burns like 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day. If I were to then go to like completely sedentary and burning 1,500, 1,600 calories, it's just likely that I'm not going to have that appetite that I did before. So that would be the time when I would say it's totally okay to just listen to your body and not you know, eat your normal amount, but obviously don't do it with the intention of like starving yourself because you're not moving. So I would say just use it as an opportunity to intuitively eat. So just because I'm not like burning as much as normal, it's obviously very likely that I'm not going to be as hungry. So not a big deal. Still gonna aim to hit my protein. I likely will be under on carbs and fats by a little bit, but it's really not a huge deal. I'm not like, you know, going from 2,200 calories to like 1,700 or something like that. And even with that, you know, take it with a grain of salt. It's not the end of the world. If you're injured for a week, nothing drastic is gonna happen in a week anyway. So keep that in mind. That is where I am at, both food and training wise. I am feeling a little bit better today. I'm trying to keep the compression sleeves on in times when I'm not standing or doing anything in the boot. So that is that. Hopefully next week I will be back to running, but I don't know. I will keep you updated. I have another X-ray on Monday to make sure it's not a stress fracture. Hopefully no more injuries for me. But don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and click subscribe so you never miss on Mondays and Thursdays with Manders. I'm gonna eat my dinner and head to the couch to ice my feet for the night. I'll see you in my next one.